Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to a different kind of video today. Today I was going through editing a lot of different videos like my match reviews, my commentary series, and I found an old thumbnail for an old add-on video that I made for the Xenomorph back closer to when the character actually came out. Now obviously that was back in 2023, so it's been a little while since that thing was put out and things have changed since then. So I would like to put out a new video covering my current thoughts in 2025 about the Xenomorph add-ons. Now, if you want the most up-to-date information about what I think about the Xenomorph in terms of strategies, perks, how to loop, that sort of thing, you will always find that in the Xenomorph document guide that I made. I think it was March. It was like February, March of 2024 that I continue to update at least twice a month and have since that document has been out. So that is where you get the most up-to-date information on that. Before we get too carried away with our add-on tier list, I do want to go through our categories because I don't just only do the tier list through S, A, B, C, D, but I actually have little monikers under them to describe what's going on with these tiers. S is best choices, so you should ideally be running these add-ons if you want to win games consistently as the Xenomorph. A are great choices, but not the best in slot choices to make. B is all right. You're making a good choice, but it's not like an exceptionally good choice. It's okay. C is niche or underwhelming. This is where add-ons will go that I just don't feel like pack enough punch, or they're relegated to a very, very specific build or play style that is, at the end of the day, kind of inefficient. And D is just outright bad, meaning that you should realistically never run this add-on. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So first off, down here we have acidic blood, and this is probably going to be a hot take because I know this is kind of like the content creator add-on that a lot of content creators love to run, but in practice acidic blood is a little niche if not redundant. Acidic blood, if you do not know, is when survivors stun you within 20 seconds of emerging from the tunnels. When you are in crawler mode, the survivor loses a health state. If they are already injured, then they become deep wounded instead. Well, a very, very fun and on the surface sounding to be a very dangerous add-on to run because it can deliver a health state. Realistically, in practice, it's kind of redundant. Why? Because you have the tail attack as the Xenomorph. The tail attack is your anti-chase ability, allowing you to hit over pallets. If the survivor is going to end up in a situation where they're going to throw the pallet on top of you and stun you, odds are you could have just backed up and hit them over the pallet with the tail attack in 9 times out of 10 of these situations. This also runs into the similar issue that you run into with the perk Spirit Fury, where survivors get hit by it once and then they know to pre-drop to avoid the add-on for the rest of the game. So overall, I would put acidic blood as underwhelming. All right, now we are looking at Ash's Innards. We're gonna put that above that. The orders in the actual tiers are going to be kind of like not solid, but I'm going to try to do the best I can. Yeah, I'm going to put Ash's Innards above acidic blood. Ash's Innards is this increases the respawn timer of the flame turrets by 10 seconds. Obviously, the flame turrets are your main counterplay from the survivors as the Xenomorph. Flame turrets are kind of a lot of the reason people don't even end up playing Xenomorph for a fair bit, because they find the flame turrets so frustrating. So dealing with these and finding ways to play around the turrets is kind of the name of the game of the Xenomorph, because if you learn how to deal with the turrets well enough, then the Xenomorph, you actually get to feel the strength of the character and see how they're like a high B tier character. Ash's Innards will help with this by adding additional respawn time to the flame turrets, upping this by 10 seconds. Keep in mind that turrets respawn naturally 30 seconds and 60 seconds when destroyed by the Xenomorph, so this would be 40 and then 70 respectively. Now, not necessarily a bad add-on, but it just 10 seconds in the grand scheme of things is just not a lot of time, especially as you will find out that there's a lot of very, very good add-ons in this same rarity. So running this really just doesn't make sense. It's not a bad add-on, but it's just underwhelming to run, hence the name of the category. Next, we're going to be looking at Brett's Cap, which will probably be going at the bottom of niche and underwhelming. If it weren't for the niche part of this category, I don't think it would be in this category at all. So Brett's Cap is that survivors suffer from the blindness status effect for 25 seconds if they were within 16 meters of a flame turret that was destroyed by any means. Obviously, this add-on is very, very restrictive. Not only does it apply blindness, which already isn't a crazy status effect, especially when you're facing coordinated survivors on comms, but it also already has to be somebody who's next to a flame turret. So it's not only a restrictive add-on, but one that applies an effect that already the strongest survivors in the game already get around. So unless you're running a niche blindness build for a specific kind of gimmick build, this is not the add-on for you. Cat Carrier also falls into this zone of being incredibly niche and underwhelming. This is a fan favorite among a lot of Xenomorph players because a lot of Xenomorph players really lament the fact that Xenomorph's base kit doesn't really have a whole lot of stealth to it. Obviously, they're being countered by the flame turrets, which have motion sensors in them that track you for 41 meters, whether you're up top side, if you have Oblivious, you have Undetectable, if you're in the tunnels, the flame turrets will track you with their motion sensors for 41 meters. This obviously creates a problem with Cat Carrier because Cat Carrier grants the Undetectable status effect for 30 seconds when you are knocked out of your power by a flame turret. So if they're the built-in counterplay that the survivors are going to be using throughout the entire game, counter the Undetectable status effect, having a purple rarity add-on that hard counters this mode, not so great. In addition to this, you do have to lose your power to gain this effect, and the name of the game is the Xenomorph is to stay in your power as much as possible. So not only do you have to go against your character's main gameplay cycle, but also you get an effect that's not too great on your character as well. Next, we're going to cover Cereal Rations, which goes in the top of all right. This is a fan favorite one that I see a lot of people using, and it is a fairly good learning add-on for the Xenomorph. If you do not know what the Cereal Rations add-on does, the auras of deployed flame turrets are revealed to you while you're in the tunnels, and this effect lingers for 3 seconds even when you get out. So this is a very, very good add-on, kind of like I am all ears for killers, to kind of help you learn generally where survivors like to place flame turrets, and still serves as a very, very good add-on for trying to know where turrets are placed if you don't play the Xenomorph fairly regularly. Now you may be thinking, this is really, really good, Brand, because this allows me to see where the survivors are, so I can just see the turrets already placed while I'm inside the tunnels and go straight to them and find them. And you would be right with that. But the problem is that the Xenomorph has such a wealth of base kit information in their kit already that's kind of slightly redundant. You have 16 meters of sound reading and footstep reading while you're in the tunnels as the Xenomorph, in addition to 12 meters of killer instinct when you actually exit through a control station. This is a wealth of information that will help you track down the survivors, so it kind of really begs the question, why am I going to be running an info add-on on the character that already has some of the most base kit information for finding survivors in the game already? Like I said, very excellent add-on if you are learning the Xenomorph or you don't play the Xenomorph very often, so you don't have that utilization, that efficiency of using that base kit info right away. But otherwise, I relegate this probably to the top of all right. Crew headset, I'm going to put at the top of all right. If you are not sure what crew headset does, crew headset is the add-on that increases the detection range for the survivor footsteps while inside the tunnels by 6 meters. Like we just talked about in the Cereal Rations section of this video, we talked about how the Xenomorph has 16 meters of footstep reading. If somebody is moving around, as long as they're not crouched or holding a turret, you will see them moving around up above you. Crew headset extends this 16 meter range by 6, upping it to a range of 22 meters, which is a lot and is a lot of really, really good information for the Xenomorph. This obviously is very, very huge for your macro game and leads to a lot of really, really good plays. However, this doesn't always convert into those good plays I just mentioned. Why? Because if somebody is 22 meters away from you, if you pop out of the control station nearby, they're still going to be 22 meters away from you. It's very rare that you're actually able to convert the information that you get on crew headset into a play. This is probably similar to something you have heard with the Susie's Mixtape add-on on Legion, where it does give you extra killer instinct while you're in Feral Frenzy, but you often don't have the distance or speed to go hit those people that you're seeing with the extra killer instinct range. So yeah, it's kind of a similar situation, a similar story with crew headset, that yeah, you do get a lot of extra information which you can use to help win your games, but a lot of the information that you get, you can't even really act on a lot of the time. So I'm going to put this at the top of all right. The next add-on we're going to be looking at is the Drinking Bird, which we're going to be putting at the bottom of niche and underwhelming. The Drinking Bird add-on increases the duration of the killer instinct when you get out of a control station by 2 seconds. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, when you pop out of a control station, this is Xenomorph, you get killer instinct on any survivors that are nearby you within a 12-meter radius. This extends the duration of that killer instinct by an extra 2 seconds, allowing you to get a better idea of where the survivor is and track them down. Once again, this lends itself to being more of a learning add-on on the Xenomorph, because it can be kind of disorienting at first when you pop out of the control station. You don't quite know what orientation you were facing when you went to go up, so it might be hard to find the survivor right away. So having an extra 2 seconds does help, but there are far better learning add-ons like Cereal Rations and another one we will cover soon that help you learn the character far better in this exact same rarity. And honestly, outside of learning this character, this add-on is just quite frankly too underwhelming to run consistently. So it's basically relegated to being a learning add-on maybe, but even then there are far better learning add-ons. Now we get into one of the huge big swingers in this one, that being Emergency Helmet, which will be put all the way up in S tier, our first best choice. Emergency Helmet increases the resistance towards flame turrets before being knocked out of crawler mode by 35%. Like I said earlier, the name of the game is Xenomorph is to stay in your crawler mode as much as possible. And I'm sure you guys have figured out, especially since Otts put out that video in a relatively recent time period, that survivors are starting to get better at their turret placements. So it's more important now than ever to know how to deal with your turrets in order to stay in your power. Now, that being said, turrets are just kind of like really strong and really good in general. You should probably bring something in your own corner in order to fight the flame turrets. One of these excellent tools being the Emergency Helmet. Emergency Helmet's one of its best things that it really does offer you is the ability to lunge at turrets to break them over using your tail attack. Using a tail attack to break a flame turret counts as a miss for the Xenomorph, which incurs the movement speed penalty that the Xenomorph gets for missing a tail attack. Being able to lunge forward and just pop flame turrets allows you to keep in chase much quicker, only losing like 3 to 4 seconds worth of time in chase instead of having to lose a bunch of distance thanks to the movement speed penalty. This even counts for turrets that end up flaming you from far away, because this gives you more time to react. If you didn't exactly know where the turret was trying to hit you from, you can have a second or two of confusion and then still deal with the turret. Honestly, if you're looking for success on the Xenomorph, this is an add-on I can see you running just about every game. But that's only if you care about winning every single game, which I'm sure that's what you're here to do. So this is the add-on for you. Harpoon Gun also unfortunately goes into the niche and underwhelming section, more so on the niche side. If you don't know what Harpoon Gun does, Harpoon Gun is successfully, after hitting a survivor within 10 seconds of exiting the tunnels, all other survivors further than 24 meters from you scream and reveal their location to you. Once again, very good info, but it's also restricted to a very restrictive trigger of having to get it right after you've come out of a control station. Once again, similarly to crew headset, this is really good info, getting screams from people 24 meters away and knowing what's going on. But once again, when they're 24 meters away from a control station, you kind of don't always have the ability to make a very firm and good play off of people that are 24 meters away from you. The reason I put this at the top of niche is because a lot of people love scream builds on Dead by Daylight and trying to capitalize off of making a scream build. And obviously this is the add-on for you if you're somebody who enjoys scream builds. Other than that, it's just good info, but you can't really act on it all the time. Next up, we're going to talk about the Improvised Cattle Prod, which will probably go at the bottom of all right. Improvised Cattle Prod is each time a generator is completed, the following effect applies for 15 seconds, this being that auras of survivors within 10 meters of control station are revealed to you for 15 seconds. Now, obviously, this is 5 instances of guaranteed aura reading, which helps you find where survivors are. It's almost kind of like a budget Bitter Murmur, except specifically for the Xenomorph, which is kind of an interesting concept, especially if you run them together. But once again, like we've described before, the Xenomorph has a wealth of base kit information that allows them to track the survivors without the need for info perks or info add-ons at all. So running an info add-on, no less a iridescent add-on, the most expensive kind of add-on that only goes off 5 times a game, kind of risky. And also, there's really no guarantee that survivors will actually be near the control stations to get add-on value. So yeah, it's very expensive for the very little it does. And if it was on a different character that didn't have base kit info, it'd probably be up in the great tier. But for a character that has base kit info like Xeno, a little bit less. Our next add-on is Kane's Helmet, which is kind of a sad one because Kane's Helmet used to be in the A tier for a while, in the great tier, but it has unfortunately fallen down. Kane's Helmet is the typical killer add-on that adds mangled, and not hemorrhage, just mangled, to your power attacks. So survivors hit with the successful tail attack suffer from the mangled status effect for 70 seconds. This unfortunately was not a specific target at the Xenomorph, but more so at the mangled hemorrhage kind of mechanic in the game. Overall, I don't know how long you guys have been playing DBD, but fairly recently Behavior decided to nerf mangled and hemorrhage overall by making them timed effects. Kane's Helmet, this one being 70 seconds, which kind of made the whole status effect overall super weak, but also hit this add-on pretty hard. This is not to mention that also anti-heal in general has seen better days, and survivors have a ton of really good healing perks, items, and add-ons that they can use. Resurgence I see almost every game, so survivors are just coming off hook and getting healed immediately. So running an anti-heal add-on that has now been timed in a meta where anti-heal isn't even that great anymore, it's just not as great of an add-on as it used to be, unfortunately. Now we are going to go to probably the other best add-on that you can run on the Xenomorph, and that being Lambert Star Map. Lambert Star Map reduces the flame throwing range by flame turrets by 2 meters. This is touted by many people as the best Xenomorph add-on that they've made, and I can absolutely see why, because not only does this add-on help you avoid the turrets, but in a lot of cases, because the range of the flame turrets goes from 10 meters to 8, a lot of times you just won't be getting, the flame turrets just won't activate at all, which is excellent, amazing. The problem I have with this add-on, and it's not even really a problem, it's just why I pick Emergency Helmet over Lambert Star Map a lot, is when there's a well-placed turret that you can avoid, which people are starting to get better at, like I mentioned, then Lambert Star Map doesn't really help you. It kind of just doesn't do a great deal of a lot of value compared to Emergency Helmet. Ideally, you run both, because when I'm doing my Xenomorph win streak that I'm on right now, I do run both, because you want to dodge and move around flame turrets that are at a distance and just don't even start the flame stream on you because you have Lambert Star Map. And for the ones that are well placed, you have Emergency Helmet so you can tank it and break it. But realistically, ideally, these both are on equal grounds. I've been trying to order these fairly close to where they are compared to the add-ons around them, even in their own tiers. But these I do feel like are neck and neck. This is literally like 99.99% efficiency versus 100% efficiency. Like, they are so close to each other that it really doesn't matter which of the two of these you run. If you are somebody who does not want to run both turret add-ons, you're not taking a huge loss picking one over the other, in my opinion. Like, either or is okay. Next is Light Wand. Light Wand is going to be our first add-on that goes into bad, because Light Wand, it was made at a time that the Xenomorph's power worked a little differently, and unfortunately this add-on didn't really get adjusted after the fact. Light Wand increases the downtime duration of flame turrets after exiting the tunnels by 1 second. What does it mean by that? Well, when the Xenomorph pops out of a control station, the flame turrets are actually deactivated for a very short period of time. They can't immediately start throwing flames at you. They are on a deactivation period, and once they come off of that, then they start throwing flames at you. Now, the problem being here is that the Xenomorph, when they see those deactivated turrets, can just go and smack them. The difference being is that this wasn't always the case. Back in the Xenomorph PTB, this downtime where the flame turrets were deactivated, they were invincible. You could not smack the turrets. And that's when Light Wand was actually pretty like niche or all right as an add-on, because if you were sitting there wanting to break the turret but you had to wait, them being downtime for 1 more second would allow you to get into the position to smack them basically right away and have them not potentially knock you out of your power. Now, obviously, modern Xenomorph, the flame turrets are not invincible when they're in downtime, so you just smack them, get them out of the way while they're deactivated. So having an extra second of downtime doesn't really give you a whole lot of help. I will say the one use I have found for this add-on that's actually pretty nice is that sometimes you get to use your lunge to break turrets over the tail attack. Remember we mentioned earlier, you should ideally be going for your lunge to pop turrets over the tail attack so you don't incur the movement speed miss penalty. There are some situations I found when I was testing with this add-on that you could reach a deactivated turret that was placed kind of far away from where you popped out of the control station and lunge and hit it instead of a tail attack if I had not had this add-on, which is pretty nice. But overall, like, the time you lose on that is very, very slim, and of course not really worth running a whole add-on slot, especially when you have Lambert Star Map, which is one of your best add-ons and the exact same rarity. It just doesn't make sense to be running Light Wand, and I don't think getting a lunge over a tail attack is worth running a whole add-on slot. It's just this add-on needs to be updated with the rest of the kit, because it just wasn't. And not to be upstaged by Light Wand, we have the worst Xenomorph add-on in the game, this being Moulted Skin. Moulted Skin is the Xenomorph's attempt at having an exhaustion add-on, but it's just flat horrible. It's just plainly horrible, and it is irredeemable. So Moulted Skin, after deploying a flame turret, survivors suffer from 3% hitter status effect and the exhausted status effect for 3 seconds. Why this doesn't make sense is because you have to think about the scenario you are in when you catch a survivor deploying a flame turret. If a survivor is walking with a flame turret, they are already a sitting duck, because survivors are hindered while holding a flame turret and they're extremely slow. So you just walk up and you hit them, you run up and you tail attack them. They're essentially a sitting duck if you catch them with the turret. So it's not good to wait and let them place down the turret, because they're already a sitting duck. You already have the guaranteed hit. It's fine. And what happens if you actually let them place the flame turret is now you have to stop chasing them and deal with the flame turret, whether it be through lunging, tail attacking. You have to stop and deal with a flame turret, which the whole point of this add-on is to make the survivor exhausted so you can have a quicker chase. But to get value, you either have to forego a free hit and let them drop the turret, which then you'd have to spend time breaking anyways. Like, it's a puzzling add-on that they just kind of said, oh, okay, well, we're going to give them an exhaustion add-on. We're going to slap it on this. And they didn't think about the actual scenarios you would be in when this happens. Like, this was not a well thought out add-on, and unfortunately it just sits here in this just unusable state. Next up, we have Multipurpose Hatchet, which we'll put right about there in the niche section. Multipurpose Hatchet is the other half of the Mangled Hemorrhage combo. This being a survivor hit with a successful tail attack suffers from the hemorrhage status effect until fully healed. Hemorrhage being the effect that if you are interrupted while healing, your bar goes down. This is definitely kind of like the definition of niche when it comes to add-ons in this category. Basically, unless you're using an anti-heal build, there's no reason to run the hemorrhage by itself. Already Mangled is in a pretty poor and shoddy state, much less hemorrhage. There's the benefit that this is not timed. This add-on is not timed at all, so the hemorrhage is permanent, so that's pretty neat. But unfortunately, and to kind of like play devil's advocate, it's also a green add-on, so it's for some reason really expensive, on top of already being a weaker effect in this meta and also being fairly niche for anti-heal builds. I don't see you running this out of anti-heal builds, like outside of it. I just don't. Ovomorph Egg is one that I've kind of come around to see a lot of light in, and I did not previously feel that way. When I was talking earlier about Seer Rations, there was another great learning add-on for the Xenomorph. I was referring to Ovomorph. Ovomorph increases the recovery speed of crawler mode when outside of the tunnels by 25%. When you're learning the Xenomorph, there is a learning curve to learning the flame turrets and how to counter them and how to get around them. But you're obviously not going to get that overnight, so you're going to get knocked out of your power a lot. So having the Ovomorph add-on there to help you recover your power quicker when you lose it does help. The problem is this is bad for a couple of reasons. First, once again, I said the name of the game of the Xenomorph is to stay in your power as much as possible. And some people take the Ovomorph add-on as an excuse to lose your power a lot, which is not the point of the character. It kind of reinforces a bad habit of, oh, it's fine if I lose my power, I have Ovomorph, which is not the point. You're supposed to keep your crawler mode as much as possible so you can keep your tail attack, so you can keep your chases short. In addition, you already have access to a faster recharge of your power in your base kit as the Xenomorph. You go into the control station, you go into the tunnels. While the Xenomorph is moving in the tunnels, the charges they regain on their crawler mode goes up to 8 charges a second. So it's 8 times as fast to get your power back if you just pop into the tunnels and wiggle back and forth real quick and come back out. It's very fast. It gets your power back fairly quickly. So it kind of does partially what this add-on does, just base kit. Now, where this add-on is actually really, really nice and why I moved it up the top of the right tier is because one of the things the Xenomorph cannot counter is double turret setups. That is kind of like their Achilles heel right now. It's kind of like EMPs on Singularity, or I've been making the comparison lately that Oni doesn't, if the survivors play safe in the early game, Oni doesn't get to win the early game. He just has to worry about getting his power for later. The Xenomorph's version of that is double turrets. Xenomorph doesn't really have an answer in their kit right now for double turrets. So this is kind of the only thing that you quote unquote have in your, not even your kit, but this is something you can have to be an answer for that. If it's going to be a foregone conclusion that you're going to lose your power at some point to double turrets, hey, might as well get your power back a little bit quicker. But once again, then we go back in a circle to like, okay, well then I could just go back into a tunnel and get it back quickly anyways. But yeah, I did see that, and I did find some use out of that for double turret setups, but honestly, until you like hardcore main this killer and pump your MMR, you're not even gonna be running those double turret setups very often anyways. So yeah, but like I said, excellent learning add-on. Can be excellent against if somehow you're in some demon MMR where people constantly use double turrets. But it also reinforces bad habits on the character, and also you have a base kit ability to get your power back quicker anyways. Next up is Parker's Headband, and this is going to be one that kind of hurts people's feelings because this is an add-on I found a lot of people that play Xenomorph casually like. This is kind of like the Xenomorph's Bloody Fingernails add-on that you see on Sadako. This being that Parker's Headband, when you exit a control station, you gain 5% haste for 3 seconds. This is one of those things where this is like kind of like the definition of underwhelming, and that's why it's in this category, because the idea is solid. Me exit control station, me go fast. Like I said, it works great for Sadako's add-on Bloody Fingernails, but the issue being is that both the duration and the speed are bad. If one of these numbers was high, it'd be fine. If you had 10% haste for 3 seconds or something like that, it would be a worthwhile add-on to run. Or you had 5% haste, but you had it for like 7 seconds. It would make sense. But however, 5% is not a lot. 3 seconds of duration is not a lot. So it doesn't have a good duration and it doesn't have a good amount of haste. So you're just in this double negative zone of like neither of these numbers are really worth it, despite having a fairly cool effect. Ripley's watch is going to go into underwhelming, and this is another favorite that I see a lot about people that play Xenomorph like casually that really love this add-on, especially people that are learning the character. They love Ripley's watch. And so let's go ahead and get into why. So Ripley's watch causes the flame turrets that knock you out of your crawler mode to destroy on their own. So this add-on on the surface seems like the perfect learning add-on for the Xenomorph. Like I had explained earlier with the Ovomorph egg, learning how to destroy and get around flame turrets has a learning curve to it, and you're not going to get that right away. So having things that make that not feel as bad are really important. But I would always recommend Ovomorph over Ripley's watch for multiple reasons. First off, like we've mentioned with some of these add-ons, the name of the game as the Xenomorph is to stay in your power as much as possible. So this once again kind of gives you a false reinforcement to say, oh, it's okay if I lose my power, because at least if I lose my power, the turret auto breaks because I'm running this add-on. So it encourages people to kind of ignore turrets, and that's not good. That's not a good long-term habit to form as the character. I infamously have been told that there is a Xenomorph main that intentionally runs into turrets to get Ripley's watch value. So they're intentionally running and losing their tail attack on purpose in order to destroy the turret that they could have just swung at anyways, which is kind of absurd. And it's those kind of bad habits that I think this add-on reinforces, and I really discourage you from running this even as a learning add-on. In addition, the flame turrets also break a multitude of other ways other than just you breaking them. If survivors do not repair the flame turrets after they have gone in their little down mode after they have expended their charges, then yeah, they pop on their own. They break eventually. If a survivor does not come up and repair those pop on their own. In addition, if a flame turret expends its charges and knocks you out of its power, the turret pops. So there's just a lot of other ways that flame turrets pop on their own that aren't you going up and smacking them as the Xenomorph. So adding a third way to do this is just kind of goofy to me. Like the flame turrets all the time. Like there's a running meme on my channel when I get knocked out of my power as the Xenomorph and I look down and the flame turret breaks and I go, oh man, I'm so glad I had Ripley's watch. Oh, that's right, I don't. Because like flame turrets break on their own in other ways. So why are we adding another one? I don't know. Like the only way I'd recommend this add-on is if you're just like low on add-ons and you just need something. Like that's about it. Next, we have Self-Destruct Bolt, which is going to be our first great pick because Self-Destruct Bolt is a very excellent add-on that is very chase focused, as the Self-Destruct Bolt increases your vaulting speed while you're in crawler mode by 30%. When you see me and the Xeno guy recommending like Superior Anatomy, Bamboozle, Fire Up, this is what we're referring to here because it has excellent synergy with this add-on. Even running this add-on without perks that synergize with it is very good because you're able to fly through a window at Mach speed, get the lunge, get the tail attack before they make it around back to the window or to the pallet in the tile. It's just a very solid and strong add-on, and like I said, pairs very well with some of the strongest chase perks in the game, like Bamboozle. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a very rough situation with like a Garner Joy God window, Mother's Dwelling God window, and I just shut it down instantly with Bam Bolt and keep chasing. It's a lovely add-on. When I'm talking in the match reviews, I recommend these 3 add-ons. Either run one of the turret add-ons and Self-Destruct Bolt or double turret. That's what I recommend for consistent W's. I think the only reason I put this in great and not best choices is because I really want to encourage you to run at least one of the turret add-ons, because those really are the best choices. This is great. This is amazing, but you don't need it. It's just great. I feel like with these, they're kind of necessary to play the character, which is why I'm recommending them so much. Last but not least, kind of a dark horse here. I barely think it fits into all right. It almost goes into great, but it's just so play style and build oriented that I can't feel comfortable putting it great. but it's almost there. Semiotic Keyboard reveals the repair progression of generators located within 16 meters of a turret through the intensity of their aura. So obviously this is a add-on you're probably familiar with if you play Wraith, but this is kind of the Xenomorph version of it. This add-on I did not have a lot of faith in early on when I was, you know, trying to place add-ons with the Xenomorph. But if you're somebody who has not an aversion to playing the macro game in Dead by Daylight and patrolling gens, especially if you have kick perks like Pop, like Eruption, stuff like that, this add-on could be excellent. Jagged Compass now could be great with this add-on. I think the big thing I really like about this compared to Seal Rations is that Semiotic Keyboard is not in the tunnels only. Semiotic Keyboard applies as long as that flame turret is within 60 meters of gen, which it often will be because survivors want to put it in the tile that where the gen is, put it in the tile next to the gen, put it somewhere where they can hear the turret beeping so they can avoid any sort of stealth plays. So 9 times out of 10, you are getting value out of this add-on no matter what. And you're getting that value top side and bottom side of the map. And like I said, for somebody who's a very, very mobile Xenomorph, which what you should be with any sort of like kick slowdown, this is a very, very excellent add-on for you to use. I've actually talked to some Xenomorph mains who really love this add-on or really attach this add-on because they love to run like Pop, Eruption, Overcharge, or Pop, Eruption, and Oppression, and then they go around with Semiotic Keyboard catching which gens have which progress when and really keeping control of the match. Like I said, I really, really want to put this in great, but the fact that it is kind of like get the most out of it, you have to run specific builds about delivering the gen regression. I can't feel comfortable putting it in great, but it's almost there. Yeah, that is my revised Xenomorph add-on tier list. Hopefully this will help you out there in the game if you're trying to get better at the Xenomorph. Which add-on should I run, which times? If you're looking for like, hey, I want to win consistently, those top 3 are what you're looking at. One of the turret add-ons, both maybe, and then Self-Destruct Bolt, that's what you're looking at. If you're looking to, I don't want to sweat, but I run something that's typically good, will kind of fairly get B value without super sweating, you're looking at the B tier. But if you're running like gimmick builds or you don't want to try hard, might want to go down to the C tier. Please don't pick anything in D tier. I'm not wrong about those. Like some of these I'm like, okay, well maybe Cat Carrier, maybe I'm too hard on it, or maybe Ash's Innards is a little too high, but like like don't pick the bottom 2, please. I'm pretty sure about those. Yeah, like I said, hopefully this helps you have better Xenomorph games. Hopefully you pick better add-on choices going into your Xenomorph games. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this helped you. If there's something in here you were surprised about in terms of placement, let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, it's gonna be it for today's video, friends. Hopefully I make your day a little bit better, but if I do not, I'll do it in the next video. And if I don't see you then, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.